Tuesday, July 31, 2012. Colorado massacre linked to historic bank fraud. From Silver Doctors, shocking details have emerged over the weekend regarding the alleged Colorado Batman shooter James Holmes. Holmes' father, Robert Holmes, reportedly is a senior left analyst with FICO and was scheduled to testify as a whistleblower in the coming weeks regarding the Lieber scandal, was reportedly ready to name big names involved in the massive global fraud as well as provide evidence to the Senate Banking Committee linking the high-level executives to their crimes. Robert Holmes, the shooting suspect's father, is a senior left scientist with FICO, the American credit score company. He was scheduled to testify in the next few weeks before a U.S. Senate panel that is investigating the largest bank fraud scandal in world history. This banking fraud threatens to destabilize and destroy the Western banking system. Robert Holmes not only uncovered the true intent of the massive Lieber banking fraud, but his predictive algorithm model also traced the trillions of hidden dollars to the exact bank accounts of the elite classes who stole it. The motives. Robert Holmes, the shooting suspect's father, is a senior left scientist with FICO, the American credit score company. He was scheduled to testify in the next few weeks before a U.S. Senate panel that is investigating the largest bank fraud scandal in world history. This banking fraud threatens to destabilize and destroy the Western banking system. Those names would awaken the world to the depth of government and corporate corruption, which could include members of Congress, Wall Street, Federal Reserve and EU executives, and could even include U.S. presidential candidates and the British royal family. The motives for the massacre are: 1. To silence whistleblower Robert Holmes, whose son is now facing a possible death sentence. 2. To influence the upcoming vote on the UN Global Small Arms Treaty, which could result in gun confiscation and disarming world citizens. The UN treaty could override national sovereignty and give a license to federal governments to assert preemptive gun control powers over state regulatory powers. James Holmes was kidnapped. 2 months prior to the theater massacre, James Holmes' entire world was turned upside down. That's when 2 black op hitmen entered his life and unraveled it using a drug called scopolamine, also known as the devil's breath. Drugged. Scopolamine or the devil's breath is colorless, odorless and tasteless, and can be easily dissolved in drinks or sprinkled on food. Victims become so docile, they have been known to help thieves rob their homes and empty their bank accounts. Women victims have been drugged repeatedly over days and gang raped or rented out as prostitutes. In a common scenario, a person is offered a drink laced with the substance and wakes up miles away, extremely groggy and with no memory of what happened. The victim soon discovers that they have handed over jewelry, money, car keys, and sometimes even made multiple bank withdrawals to their assailants. Scopolamine completely blocks the formation of memories, making it impossible for victims to ever identify their aggressors. Under hypnosis, people can normally recall what happened to them, but scopolamine induces amnesia because the memory was never recorded, said Dr. Camilo Uribe, the world's leading expert on the drug. The drug depresses the cerebrum and destroys the power of reasoning. There's no power to think or reason. This is what happened to James Holmes. He claims he has no memory of the massacre or what happened. An employee at the Arapahoe County Detention Center, where Holmes is in an isolation cell, told sources. He claims he doesn't know why he's in jail. He asked, "Why am I here?" Timeline. June 2011, James Holmes enrolls in the neuroscience PhD program of the University of Colorado, Denver. May 21, 2012, 2 months before the massacre, James Holmes is befriended by Black OP hitman 1 who drugs him with scopolamine for the first time. The hitman takes the drugged Holmes back to Holmes' apartment at 1690 Paris Street in Aurora. The hitman moves in with Holmes and stays undercover for 8 weeks. The hitman maintains Holmes in a drugged state and accesses his email and bank accounts. May 22, 2012, hitman 1 buys a Glock pistol using James Holmes' identification. Less than a week later, he upgrades to a shotgun. The following week, he buys an AR-15 rifle. Hitman 1 also purchases explosive materials and equipment to rig Holmes' entire apartment with a complex series of booby traps. June 7, 2012, James Holmes shows up on campus for an oral exam in a drug fog and fails. June 7 to July 2, 2012, using James Holmes' email, hitman 1 orders guns, rounds of ammunition, magazine holders, compact vest, knife, mask etc. with expedited shipping costs through FedEx and USPS. Holmes signs for the deliveries in a drugged state. July 5, 2012, while James Holmes is drugged, hitman 1 dyes Holmes' hair red-orange and takes a photo of him. The hitman then creates a profile for James Holmes on the Adult Front Finder Adults Only website. When completing the profile for Holmes, the hitman doesn't know that Holmes is 6'3", so he mistakenly enters 6'0". The hitman plots James Holmes' photo above. Only days before the massacre, the hitman makes an entry on the adult Frankfurter website site. Pretending to be Holmes, he describes his penis as short/average. He uses a screen name Classic Jimbo with a message on top of the profile which reads, "Will you visit me in prison?" July 18, 2012, Hitman 1 mails an incriminating notebook filled with gruesome sketches and details of the plans for the attack in the crowded theater. The notebook is in a package sent to a professor of the University of Colorado, where Holmes was a PhD candidate until dropping out of school just prior to the killings. The package was delivered by the U.S. Postal Service on the Monday after the shootings, which forced the evacuation of a campus building for 2.5 hours. July 19, 2012, Hitman 1 drives the getaway car to the theater and parks it at the side of the multiplex. He buys a Batman The Dark Knight Rises movie ticket and enters Theater 9. He sits in the far-right front theater seat near the emergency exit door. He receives and picks up a cell phone call from Black OP Hitman 2, then gets up and goes over to the emergency exit door. A movie theater witness named Corbin Dates sees him talking on the cell phone and holding the exit door open with his foot. Hitman 1 jams the exit door ajar for Hitman 2. Hitman 2 parks James Holmes' white Hyundai Coupe outside the Theater 9 emergency exit door of the back of the multiplex. James Holmes is drugged and semi-conscious in the passenger seat next to him. Hitman 2 is wearing full protective combat gear. His guns, ammunition, gas can and mask are stashed in back of the car. He calls Hitman 1 on the cell phone and gets the go-ahead signal. Hitman 2 gets out of the white Hyundai, leaves the semi-conscious James Holmes locked inside the car, then opens up the hatchback and arms himself with guns and ammo. He straps on his gas mask, carries his weapons and gas cans into the theater through the exit door 20 minutes after the movie starts. Using the tactical maneuvers of a trained commando, he throws a gas canister into the crowd and shoots one shot into the air. The shot scares people out of their seats, making them easy targets. Gunman 1 leaves the theater through the exit door and returns to the getaway car parked at the side of the multiplex. For 90 seconds, Hitman 2 shoots hundreds of rounds of bullets into the crowd, killing 12 people and wounding 58 others. He then turns and runs out the exit door, strips off his armor and leaves a trail of blood, guns and protective gear that led to the white Hyundai where James Holmes is sitting in a drug stupor. The gunman continues wearing his gas mask to hide his identity from the eye of a rooftop security camera positioned at the corner of the multiplex. After passing under the security camera, Hitman 2 ditches the mask, turns the corner of the building, then ducks into the getaway car driven by Gunman 1. The Black Op Hitman speed away. Arrested. James Holmes is reportedly arrested at his car without resistance. Why was the back rear window on James Holmes' white Hyundai Coupe broken? Was he locked inside? Did the police have to break the window to gain access to him? The mainstream media didn't report whether or not James was in the car when he was arrested or whether he was coherent. ABC News circulated a false report about an incriminating statement made by James Holmes' mother, Arlene Holmes. ABC reported that when they phoned Arlene Holmes and asked her about her son being a suspect in the shooting, she answered, "You've got the right guy." His mother has denied making that statement. Take a look at Holmes' mugshot photo next to the courtroom photo. What do you see? Why does the mugshot show Holmes in the same emotional state as the courtroom photo? Because James Holmes' mugshot wasn't taken after his arrest, which is standard procedure. The mugshot was taken right before he appeared in court 3 days later. His facial hair growth is the same in both photos. Why did they take the mugshot on the same day as his court appearance instead of the day of his arrest? Because James Holmes was too drugged when they found him to even stand up for the mugshot. James Holmes has no memory whatsoever of the massacre or of the past 2 months of his life. That's why he's asking, "Why am I here?" He really doesn't remember. James Holmes, the first victim. 12 people were killed and 58 wounded. The official number of reported victims of the Batman shooting is 70. That number is wrong. There were 71 victims. What effect has 2 months in a scopolamine stupor had on James Holmes' physical, emotional and mental health? What kind of a deal will his father work out with the bankster mafia to save his son from the death penalty? Inside job. Like 9/11, the Batman movie massacre was an inside black op. What is a black op? It is a covert operation by a government agency, or a military organization. The term is also used for activities by private companies or groups. A black operation typically involves a significant degree of deception and clandestine, illegal activities that are often outside of standard military protocol. The ruling crime families of trillionaire royals and banksters are conscienceless. They don't care who they have to deceive, abuse, rob or sacrifice to achieve the one world government new world order agenda. Article, Batman Massacre, Why and How and Who, written by Grace Powers, July 28, 2012. www.helpfreetruth.com. /bookmark. Colorado Massacre linked to historic bank fraud.